there's a question that sits underneath a lot of American cultural history, and it rarely gets asked directly. If someone takes your idea, refines it, packages it, and sells it back to the world, who does that idea belong to? For Black creators in America, that question wasn't philosophical, it was financial, it was survival, and the answer for most of the country's history was legally enforced, not you. Our minds were always free is a history of that theft, but more than that, it's a history of the fight to reverse it. And what that fight looked like wasn't protest alone, it was strategy. It starts with a counterintuitive idea. The same legal system designed to exclude Black people from full citizenship contained, buried within it, a tool that could be turned the other way: intellectual property law, patents, copyrights, the right to say, "I made this and you owe me." In 1821, Jennings used that tool. He patented a dry cleaning process, generated income from it, and used that income to buy his wife's freedom and fund abolitionist work. The system hadn't anticipated that. A patent wasn't just a commercial instrument. In his hands, it was a declaration of personhood. That instinct, find the mechanism, learn it better than the people who wrote it, then use it, became something of a recurring theme. Decades later, musicians who'd been cheated out of songwriting credits started paying close attention to copyright ownership, not out of sentimentality, but because they'd learned what uncollected royalties actually cost. Rights, carefully held, became income that outlasted careers, income that passed to families, income that accumulated quietly long after the music stopped playing on the radio. The lesson the book draws from this isn't cynical, it's practical. The law isn't fair, but it can be used. But legal ownership alone has a ceiling, because knowing you own something doesn't help if someone else controls how it reaches the world. This is the insight that shaped what might be the most instructive business story in American music. Before Berry Gordy built Motown into a cultural institution, he had a realization that changed everything. Performing paid once. Publishing paid forever. Every time a song was reproduced, pressed on a record, played on the radio, licensed for a film, whoever owned the publishing collected. So when he started the label, he built the publishing company alongside it, the music and the mechanism, both. He started with $800 borrowed from a family cooperative, not a bank, because banks weren't an option. And around the same time, entrepreneurs like Vivian Carter were building independent record labels for the same fundamental reason. If you don't own the route to your audience, someone else will decide whether you reach them at all. Own the recording, own the publishing, own the distribution, break any link in that chain, and you've handed leverage to someone who doesn't share your interests. Underneath all of this, though, is something that individual strategy alone can't provide: institutional infrastructure. The organizations that collect and distribute royalties, the unions that set minimums, the professional bodies that create accountability, these are the structures that protect the person who doesn't have Berry Gordy's business instincts or the resources to take a case to the Supreme Court. And Black creators helped build them. A composer who became one of the most celebrated arrangers of his generation was among the founding members of what became the primary performing rights organization in America. The black church, for generations, functioned as something similar, an incubator, a distribution network, a protective institution for gospel music and the artists who created it. And when those structures failed, or when the law itself became the obstacle, some pushed it further. A rapper from Miami took a parody case through the entire federal court system and won. The Supreme Court ruled that hip-hop artists engaging in parody were doing exactly what copyright law was designed to protect. They were recognized formally as serious creative commentators. The court didn't grant them that status. They argued for it and took it. Our minds were always free isn't a comfortable history, but its argument about the response to exploitation is quietly remarkable. It wasn't just endurance, it was sophistication. Generation after generation of people who studied the system that was designed to exclude them, found its pressure points, and applied force in exactly the right places. The question of who owns a culture, who profits from it, who gets to tell its story, hasn't been resolved, but the strategies are there. They've been there for 200 years.